Proceed to main title sequence.
What is going on, everybody? We got another round of Drawn Together Season 2, so we got about 15 episodes to get through. It was my first time watching this. Kevin, was it your first time watching this? I mean, I know you've seen some of this before, but have you seen the whole show before?
I think this might be my third time all the way through.
Third time, okay.
Yeah, at least my second time, maybe my third.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah, the reason being, I would watch this a lot more because I love these old shows, and I'd watch like this and Chappelle Show all the time on DVD. But when I got with my wife, who's a very nice and proper person, like once we got serious, this shit went right the hell away. So this kind of had to go in order for, like, you know, food, sex, companionship.
DVDs in storage for the next 7 years. Gotcha.
Yeah, but they're all right behind the camera here. At least my monster movies.
They're not stashed in the attic like everything else. Gotcha.
No. But what did you think going going through this season?
Going through this season was pretty enjoyable. I felt like the conclusion to the grand finale cliffhanger of the first season was actually pretty interesting on how they took that, how they crash landed on an island. And for a minute, I thought we were actually going to get the Survivor kind of style episode that, you know, the first season obviously teased, like, hey, we might riff on shows here and there. And it starts off like, hey, we might actually get a Survivor style episode. And nope, they go on a plane and promptly leave the island and get back to the house and totally leave poor Toots behind. And they got to replace her. They get like this goofball strawberry shortcake character, and it's just completely insane. And it's like, okay, you got me back on my toes after I felt like, I don't know if this works as a resolution, but it moved so quick and so smooth that I really didn't have too much time to think about how much I liked it or not. And by the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, you got me back hooked for another season, so let's see what you got from here. But after that, going forward, there's a couple episodes that are kind of miss for me, but for the most part, the season's pretty good.
Yeah, I want to say, for me personally, there's only one episode that really drags, but it was also one that I thought was kind of like, and we'll talk about it later, part of our six-pack, like, if you had to pick 6 episodes that strung along a story through the season, it was one of them for me. And I felt crappy because I didn't want to take that close of notes for it. And that was the Clum Babies. I was kind of like, okay, this is boring after a time.
Yeah.
Until the end. And then it picked up a bit.
Yeah, the Clum Babies is one of those. I wrote actually could have, if you were going to either take or remove that episode, I'd actually move that episode to be the finale, because it could have left the show as it could have ended the show overall, because you ended it with basically everybody dying on this show and Waldorf's offspring then healing everybody and bringing them back to life, or maybe they didn't. So it could have served as a series finale if it was going to get canceled. But since it ultimately wasn't canceled after season 2, you probably just could have taken it out and nobody would have known the difference.
That's true. And you're absolutely right, because it could have ended it right at that scene before the pickle. What was it? I don't even remember the damn thing's name. The pickle or cucumber.
The VeggieTales characters, yeah.
Yeah, before it blasts itself through the glass window. You end it just before there, and that's your great cliffhanger moment. And then him blowing his head through the window, there's your great pickup moment for the next season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that part of it was fun. That's what I enjoyed. But the long struggle, and I hesitate to use that term, of Mulder learning to masturbate got old. But I'm still laughing about it, so I apologize.
No, that was There was parts of that episode that were pretty tremendous, and definitely there was some good hilarity going on with that. It's like, so how does Waldorf get off? And it's like this weird ritualistic sort of dance thing, and a flick of this, and a ping of that, and a dance around, and a yank on that. It's just completely wild. But what I liked was how his like, it was just so wild. Like, I totally bought into it because he's the kind of character that doesn't really have a true definition of who and what he is, except for like the very first episode where with the strawberry shortcake character who basically murdered his entire race just about. And he's looking at her like, that bitch killed my entire race of beings, and why is she in this fucking house? And everybody's like, oh, but she's nice, and he starts to buy into it. Then they realize, nope, bitch is crazy, she's trying to kill him.
Yeah, right. And he's got this string tied around in a ribbon on his finger to never forget. And she asks him, well, I can't ask you to forgive me, but I can ask you to forget. And he's like, well, okay. He unties it. It's like, oh, that's just disgusting. And the funniest part, which is also the worst part, because this is very much an allegory for the Holocaust, is Clara is a denier. She'll flat out say it. She's a Holocaust denier. And it makes your jaw hit the ground. And I think this is one of the first times that you see Clara being the villainous one more so than Toots, and then getting severely punished for it immediately.
Pretty much.
They have a shock collar on her, and they just fuck her up anytime she does something incredibly offensive.
Zap. That'll learn you. Well, did you also notice that Toots for like a good portion of the season was basically relegated to like even like third row side character? Wasn't until we got about halfway to the second half when she started to get more included in the stories. But I also feel like that gave her a bit of a punch when she would be more of the part of the storyline. And even all the way up to the point where they did the role reversals and tried to do a role play for Xander coming out to his parents. And they didn't just double down on it. They like triple, quadruple dog dared, triple, quadrupled it down on how committed they were to playing as Xander's parents. And Toots becomes the dad, and she seduces Clara, who's supposed to be like the girlfriend from high school. And she's like, come here. And it's like, and even Clara back at the house when they're sleeping together, Clara's like, how committed are we to these roles? He's not even here. I just totally died when I saw that scene. It was just like, because I was just asking, like, why the hell are you so doing this? He's not even around. And then Clara said it right that second. I'm like, this is perfect.
Well, the funny thing is, this is the fucked up part of the show. Is it's sweet and sincere in disgusting, horrid ways. Like, he asks for help. Will you be my mom and dad with me coming out? And they make fun of him going, oh! And he gets super upset, like, you guys please take this seriously. And he runs away crying, very dramatic. And they talk about it as a house that you don't see on camera, that they're going to like really put forth mighty effort to show what would happen for him coming out. And it's this, long, horrid trailer park story that ends with prostitution, murder, Spanky the Pimp.
Spanky, yeah.
It was very, very wrong. And then it ends, it goes right back to the very beginning where they're like, well, your mother and I talked about it, and we thought, duh! They said exactly what Hero and Toots said at the very, very get-go. You're like, so they did all of that shit for nothing, just for Xander's feelings, which is good. When in reality, it was just going to be the duh moment anyway. But they wanted to make him feel special.
I had a feeling it was going to end like that, to be honest with you. It's like, you know what? It's probably going to come back around that their initial reaction is exactly the reaction we're going to get at the very end when he comes out to his parents. And I'm like, no, it works. The show is wild and crazy, and they definitely take the reality premise of the show and they do turn it on its ear, and they go to such extreme lengths to prove a point and to make parody that for some reason it just works. And I really appreciate about the show. That's good detail work in the writing and the creative staff, and even in the voice actors to be able to play those kind of quirky, eccentric, wild ranges that these characters are. And it makes the show so enjoyable. It's like they captured a little bit of lightning and they couldn't let go. And I'm glad they didn't. Now, when we get to season 3 in the movie, then we'll kind of see how well it continues that strength.
If I remember, it continues.
Okay.
There's one episode that I very vividly remember that cracks me the hell up, that I quote all the time, that I thought was in this season, and I'm very sad that it wasn't. So I will point that one out to you next episode.
All right.
But it's pretty great. It's a little bit more of the satire or parodying, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But anyway, yes, this was well done by the writers. You could tell it was done by a very diverse group of writers because they were having fun slinging jokes about one another towards one another. And that was very kind of like stylized for the 80s and 90s. So it very much felt like something familiar from high school at that age for me, I guess.
Yeah,
Which is not justified at this point. No way. It was funny to me. And again, I'm a terrible person. So it's like horrible, nasty things make me laugh. As long as they're make-believe, it makes me laugh.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we've already gotten some feedback even covering the show, like, what are you covering that stupid show for? It's this, that, and the other. It's like, you're probably somebody who watches Family Guy or South Park, which is, they cameo in this show later on, and they make a very good joke about South Park, which is outstanding. But, like, they reference them. I mean, this is much along those same lines of being so over the line crazy that, you like it or you don't like it. If you don't like it, you don't watch it. It's that simple. And it's just a wild show. It just goes the same thing with like Married with Children back in the day. It's crass. It's they're this, that, and the other. They talk about fat people. They talk about racist people. They talk about this people.
Just about had enough of you.
Well, you wouldn't say that if I came with fries and a medium drink. Medium, the size between small and you.
It's comedy, everybody. Nothing is off limits when it comes to comedy. And that's what this show was, and that's what it delivered. If you wanted something else, then this wasn't your show for you.
That's true. And the premise was very wide open, an animated reality show with different stereotypes of characters from different genres. And people went into that, I think, really not sure what to expect. And this show kind of grabs you like an amusement park ride, swings you upside down off your feet, and then places you back on your feet so fast that you don't even know what the hell just happened. And you either get a big rush out of that, like, woo, do that again, or that's not for me, and promptly walk away. And my wife is that promptly walk away person.
Blame us. Blame the FCC, which stands for Whee!
Or show me that again and I'll fucking kill you person.
Did she try and watch any of this with you previously or during this time at all?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
She was a little bit more tolerant of me telling her what I was laughing at. And she would just get this befuddled look on her face, like, and she would tell me, "You watch the weirdest shit."
That's a compliment.
It is, but my wife also is like a huge fan of The Asylum, and I'm like, where the fuck do you get off saying that to me?
And that's where we say, Boy, you're watching some serious shit right there. It's not even fun.
as, I, as I'm looking at
Atlantic Rim, need I say more?
but I own that for a reason. Oh yeah. But I mean, you look at the movies on my desk right now: Prince of Darkness, Ghoulies 1 and 2, Repossessed, Swamp Thing, the Lady in White. I like good movies. I like horrible movies even better.
Yeah, there's been a little discussion lately on like some of the other YouTubers and podcasts I listen to about like some of the best worst movies out there. And we're coming up on Thanksgiving right now, and Eli Roth's Thanksgiving is coming out, based off his goofy trailer from like the Grindhouse movies from like 15, 16 years ago, that it's finally coming out, and people are like, that's the first Thanksgiving horror movie. Need I remind you of Thanksgiving, everybody, where a turkey goes around murdering fools, screaming gobble gobble motherfucker.
Gobble gobble motherfucker.
It's the worst movie I've ever seen, yet it's one of the most fun times I've ever had watching a movie.
That's sort of what I hear about Velocipaster too.
I need to see that one because that's on my list too. And I know we're a little off topic, but it does circle back around to this show of like, this show can be dumb as rocks at times. It could be freaking horrible, but there's still something super funny about it.
They have a message in almost every single episode.
And it's the wrong message.
Not always. Not always.
know.
Because even when they're pointing out the most horrible things, and God, what is it? I can't think of the name. It's where Foxy gets the tumor from Captain Hero using
The
his
X-ray vision. Yeah.
and it starts pressing on the area in her brain that reinforces negative stereotypes.
Oh yeah.
They showed like the most racist, horrible things that you could possibly think of. Like everything that changed after the George Floyd riots, like Pearl Mill syrup, for example, is referenced very blatantly in this episode. So it's like, if that bothers you, skip this one. But they make a good point of it that if you ignore things like, say, Songs of the South, or ignore how you could make caricatures of people as we did in World War II as well, you're just going to do it again. And they say that very plainly. And the villain in that episode is Mickey Mouse, who did not own Star Wars at that point, but was Darth Vader.
Certainly acted like that, or like the Prince of Darkness Dracula, because he had the long cape and everything. You don't really see Mickey outright. You just see the ears and the head and somebody trying to do the voice of Mickey. It's super funny, but they made him like super tall too.
It was so stupid.
That took me by surprise. I'm like, hey, this is all right, because that's about the time, like years ago, when Disney started being a little, I don't know where we're going with this company, and now it's caught up to them years and years later.
Yeah.
The evil empire.
They're coming to a head.
Somebody's gonna pop that head.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Warner Brothers. But anyway, circling back to this, I'm not quite sure how to do that. Mickey Mouse and Songs of the South. Sorry. They make the important point in there, and they circle it back to horrible, nasty, racist shit again. And Spanky celebrating it because he loves how terrible it is.
You know, they celebrated this in another episode too. The Board of Education.
Oh, yes.
Let's not forget about that, because what were they doing? They were making menthol edible pencils. Which was completely, what the fuck are we coming up with now?
Grape flavored mentholated.
That's right, it was grape flavored.
Mentholated pencil.
I was just like, oh my god. And then there goes Foxy. She just starts, hey, this smells all right. And then she starts chewing, and she's eating a box, and the cops are like, hey, thank you for busting this up. And he's like, hey, fuck you. hey, we got your mystery license now. She's like, ah, fuck that.
Yeah, and she walks out like she's got a big handful of Slim Jims or what have you, but it's a handful of pencils. And I felt seen because it's like, I would love pencils like that. I would sit there and nom. I would nom on my pencils as a kid, but
A lot of people did
like that. Yeah,
until they became plastic, and then nobody did it anymore. But that
Or
was
you
like
got-
mechanical pencils. You just chew on the eraser instead.
Why do you do that? The dog seems to like it. Shit.
Exactly.
Anyway. Yeah, the board of education episode, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty clever and funny, I thought.
They did a really good job reinforcing again those negative stereotypes and then making it into a conducive story that, yes, like the SATs are biased against certain people. And it is very easy for other folks, like where Fox is taking the pre-SAT and it's asking what kind of sunblock do you need to wear at like the Daughters of Confederacy Ball, and Clara comes up with these big sunburnt eyes and she's like, silly, you don't need sunscreen if you have your clan hood on. And again, zap zap, knocks the shit out of her. But that was showing how biased it was. It was a trick question. If you have your clan hood, you don't need your sunscreen on.
Right. And also in the same vein, they went to Ling Ling because Asians are really good at standardized testing. And they tried to get him to take the test, and he totally got kicked out of the exam.
Yes, but even though all the other kids taking the test were Asian cartoons dressed as American cartoons.
Yep.
But they were taking the test for white American cartoons, so it was okay. And the Board of Education is like Bill from Schoolhouse Rock. It sounds just like him, acts just like him, but has no way I'm going to let you help a black person pass the SAT. And you're like, oh my God. And he goes into this whole long song about how they need to keep the economy going with selling stupid shit to people who can't pass the SATs. And it's so horrible, like gold rims for a $3,000 Geo.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So picture your like first or second car in high school putting gold rims on it.
I had a Chevy Sprint Metro in high school, and I did not have gold rims.
I had an 86 Mustang, and I totally would have fucking spun that fucker out. That was my Bluesmobile.
There you go.
And it lasted me 3 months too, and it blew right the hell up, just like the Bluesmobile.
Hey,
But
gonna
anyway,
go without in style.
we forgot one of the worst parts of this episode. Yeah, it's even worse than that. I don't know if it's even worse. It's just as bad. At the beginning, Foxy can't make an arrest on a pedophile, a 6-armed pedophile, because she doesn't actually have her, like you said, her mystery solving crime fighter's license. And the cop has to let the pedophile go, and you see him with all 6 arms with 6 kids running away going, ha 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 ha.
Yep. Well, and we're only talking about like basically half the episode too, because the other half is Spanky and Xander trying to get married so Spanky could have health insurance because he got a glitch in his programming.
That's right, where Clara...
So we had to have a gay marriage in this for health insurance.
Fake gay marriage. So
They specifically say fake gay marriage, yep.
Yeah, it was first bad enough. Clara's like, clutching her pearls and shit because there was going to be gay marriage, and that was going to make Nazis ride dinosaurs again, which does eventually happen by the end of the episode.
Oh my God.
But
That was so funny.
Then they tell her that it's a fake gay marriage for insurance. So she goes to the king of insurance, who has a blue cross and a blue shield.
Yeah. That was not lost on me at all.
Again, so fucking stupid. And he has to be, they have to prove to him that they're really a happy gay couple. And eventually it comes out to like, does a couple have to be happy in order to be a couple? Like most people
Do
aren't.
we have to
happy.
have sex? We're married. That doesn't happen with most married couples anymore.
And it turned out to work out well in the end for them, no pun intended, but like Clara gets foiled for all her like pearl clutching in every episode, and this was, I think, one of the first times it made me laugh really hard because she deserves her comeuppance.
Yeah, Clara gets hers a few times throughout the show in the second season.
There's one, it's horrible, and I apologize in advance, where Foxy finds a clue and says, well, I'll be a monkey's uncle, which seems just normal enough until Clara pops in off scene and goes, oh, so you can say it.
Zap.
Oh shit. Like, oh. Yeah, and she like zaps her with the fucking dog collar twice.
It's like, yeah. You can't say that, girl.
So you feel a little bit better about like what you just saw because she's getting zapped twice with the dog collar, but fuck it, like it really slaps you in the face. It's an emotional slap in the face when she comes out and says it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gobsmacked, I believe, is the term.
Oh, she got smacked all right.
Yeah, she did.
She got smacked with gob like in Clone Babies, though.
Oh, what did that end with her? I don't remember what she called it, but it was basically her psychosis. I think that was the word she used for going completely mental.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, like she had a psychosis that was making her hate everything, ultra conservative, what have you.
Yeah.
That's what cured her. Seeing the VeggieTales like get wasted, that was the high point of the episode for me.
Oh yeah.
I never liked them or the little brave toaster, which I don't remember if we see him or not.
Not since Waldorf started to try and bang him. But like during that Clone Babies episode, I gotta admit, like once the cucumber started murdering everybody, I wrote down, boy, that escalated quick because that got real intense and real wild and weird, like real fast.
God told me to do it.
And that's also the episode where we learned about the true meaning of a lightsaber battle. Thank you, Foxy, for that image.
Ooh,
that cannot be unseen now.
Use a little bit of force. Ooh, yeah!
That's what she was trying to show Waldor, how she masturbates, and she went through it seemed like she went through this 4-hour ordeal, and it ended with a lightsaber.
A lightsaber with the dolphin on it.
That would rub the clit, yeah. And then Waldor, and then the flames surround Waldor as she comes to an orgasm. It's like, what the fuck are we watching? I can't believe this actually made air in like Comedy Central for how wild this got. Whatever. I mean, with all the other crazy stuff they had like, just Captain Hero being all Captain Hero-ish.
Yeah, he got all the great offensive stuff, at least the stuff that got removed from TV, I believe.
Probably.
And that was where he needed to, again, lose his superpowers in honor of what happened to Foxy.
Yeah.
And the only way for a superhero to lose his powers is to fall off a horse and break his neck. And so he's paralyzed from the chin down, like Christopher Reeves was.
Rest in peace, Christopher Reeves.
Yes, move forward. That was his motto. Anyway,
in a wheelchair that you have to blow on a hose for.
Which for Captain Leslie Hero was very funny. Seeing Superman like that as a kid was heartbreaking for me. So this is like, do I know that's mean? Oh, absolutely. I think it's mean, but I also think it's kind of funny. I see the humor in it, what it's supposed to be. And him blowing on the chair so hard that he spins the world backwards to go in time. That made me laugh again. I'm sorry. It killed me. The straw sound killed me.
Yeah, the clear Superman references were outstanding in this one. Well, also, like, when we were talking about, like, his parents, I mean, we weren't talking about it, but, like, one of the episodes centered around him finding his parents that happened to still be alive on a planet that still existed, only for him to, at the end of the episode, make them all cease to exist except for his parents. Because he was so mad that they were still not interested in having him as their kid. He was still the lamest hero ever. They were so utterly disappointed that he got so mad, he went to his planet and fucking chucked it into a sun and nuked them all. That was great.
The screaming just before the poof was fantastic.
Right? Like, they had some, I'll say this, for all that we saw in, like, the first season, this second season gave us a lot more character arcs for quite a few of them, especially Hero, which I didn't know how much you wanted to dip into a character like Hero, but they did him a lot of character arcs in this one, and that was good to see, and most of them were relatively effective. My personal favorite was probably when he got married to Unusually Flexible Girl, or was trying to get married to Unusually Flexible Girl.
Oh, goodness, that was fun. And that...
Hey, who will want to marry Unusually Flexible Girl? Just saying.
Yeah, that's true. That's except for that clinginess. But anyway, that can be a
Depends
whole
on what
other...
she's clinging to at what particular angle.
Static.
Stretch a little more that way, baby.
The eyes and the sound effects were just phenomenal in the dark.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about Hero having bigger story arcs and you getting to see him as more of a three-dimensional character, they actually do that with Waldor too a little bit. And you do see that more in the third season as well, but you see Waldor as a doctor a lot in this season.
I like Waldor as doctor, to be honest with you.
Yeah, always explaining things is hysterical. Having the answer for everything is hysterical. And he's a fun ass character, and he gives bad news in really fun ways. Whee! It's opposite day. She's fine. Whee! So she's
I'm just a priest. I'm going to show you how to. I'm not going to finish that sentence. Never mind.
I will. I know what it's like for the homosexual tendencies of a teenage boy. I know how they feel. And you're like, oh, sweet Christmas. Okay.
That was probably the first time in this show I've ever went, oh. like I heard like this epic burn or something that was outstandingly offensive, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I would have gone there.
And anytime they would do something that horrible, they'd show rim shots. And
yeah,
like, oh, son of a bitch.
With the Indians that did the Ghost Casino episode, they now made them now more physical and not as corporeal. It was kind of funny.
Yes. Yeah, that was kind of neat to see because they were fun characters in that episode.
Yeah. They should have kept the casino there. That only lasted one episode, though.
That was completely fucked up as well. But at least fucking Spanky was like defending them. Hey, they got a raw deal. Make fun of everyone else, but they got a raw deal.
Yep, until we open up the strip club and we try and woo the king again.
Oh,
which I wrote down. Did we forget about like the relationship between Clara and her dad from the first season? Because they certainly completely ignored it until they completely ignored it. There's a couple times they completely ignored things. It's like, do you have a little more quality control on some of this?
I don't know. I mean, some stuff. I mean, it made gel. And you watch it once it's the final product, and you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't that funny, or you don't have time to get back to it. And we've seen that with canceled shows before.
Well, the kind of the big example of that is in episode 8, Terms of Endearment, when Foxy and Hero are getting kind of a little frisky and playful with each other. They don't even bring up that they had a prior relationship in season 1.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Things like that, where it's, hey, how are you now suddenly having feelings? You had feelings in season 1. You can't even bring up in a throwaway line how, we tried this before, Hero. You really think it's going to work this time? But they kept that little playful banter going. It's just like, you could add a line here, a line there, referencing season 1. They didn't even talk about Xander's quest to save his boyfriend anymore.
That's true. They don't. And I'm fairly certain he's not mentioned in season 3 at all.
Yep. I think Xander gave up on that quest. He's got his own quest for booty now.
Isn't that right, Craig?
Yeah, Craig. Asshole.
I mean, I've had a lot of sex.
Ain't that right, Craig?
Oh God, his aggro look was so fucking funny. Every time he said it, his face would get closer to the damn camera. Right, Craig?
I nearly lost it because every time he got closer to the camera and he was doing that, I'm like, this is really funny. It's like they're taking a little bit of The Office and including that into the episodes when they did the camera interviews. It was just really funny. And his relationship with Tim was quirky as hell, with Hero being slightly Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde-ish with being Tim. And then later on at the end of the season, you find out Tim is actually his second character and him and Hero are getting it on the couch. I was just like, oh my God, that is fucking wild. But at the end of that episode where, it's Hero and Tim and he takes Xander takes the glasses off and he's like, I just have one last question for you. And Hero's like, or Tim, Hero/Tim is like, yeah. And Xander's like, are we fucking done now? Is it fucking over? And Hero's like, yeah. He's like, oh, fucking time. Every fucking time.
Yeah, because Hero has like the worst ideas to figure things out. And it always like negatively affects everyone else in the house. And he's a lunatic. Like everybody that knows him calls him a lunatic. And he's most certainly that. The constant back and forth between Tim and Hero, loving on and then threatening Xander, was hysterical. No, seeing that, they've got the same injury, they're doing just the Superman bit, but then you see that they both have the same finger missing at that last episode, and that just kind of gives you that head explosion moment. You're like, the fuck now? Wait, no.
I think I don't know if The Prestige came out first, the Christopher Nolan film, but that's almost what happened in that movie. Basically, it was twins, and they intentionally lopped off certain fingers to match like injuries and everything that they had. One was always just a little bit more sane than the other one, or not as disheveled, and that plays part of the big twist. Yeah, spoiler alert, on The Prestige, great fucking movie, and it's got a great twist at the end, in my opinion, because you still aren't sure exactly which one it is, but you think it is, but is it?
Both of those guys deserved an Oscar for that flick. That was a dope flick.
Goddamn right. I need to upgrade that one.
Yeah. I'm not a huge Nolan fan, but that is a really good movie.
Yeah.
And it's Wolverine and Batman and Alfred together. Go see it, people.
It's fucking dope. It's a period piece. It's really good.
That too. And Bowie's in it with Gollum.
Yeah.
Everyone's at home going, the fuck did he just say?
Well, welcome to most of this show where you're wondering, wait, what did they just say?
But you know what? If you've seen this series before, what we just did there, talking about 7 different things with 8 different names from 4 different people, it makes sense for this show. It
does happen in this show like that too.
It's very random.
But also at the same time, it can play a role in a story.
Yeah.
What, you don't want to talk about the Foxy 5, Kevin? Or Judge Fudge that we never hear about or see ever again?
Judge Fudge. Judge Fudge was pretty fantastic. He made me think.
I didn't even know what the hell was going on because they kept throwing up the little sign in the bottom corner saying Judge Fudge premieres and like premieres next or whatever it was. And I'm like, was this just part of the broadcast and that's a separate show? And then at the end of the episode, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually part of this show.
Yeah, and I don't think you see him again in season 3.
Oh, that's too bad. They could have had some fun with things like that, but that's okay.
Yeah, those the rando characters, almost like stuffed, or the not stuffed chicken, the chicken that Peter fights all the time on Family Guy.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Rando characters that occasionally pop in.
Which even Family Guy had a little appearance in Drawn Together this season too, especially with the wife. I think she was the only voice actress they got onto the show, though.
Yes, it was just Alex. That was very much her and Peter walking by. Yep. And that was Billy West playing the Blue Stimpy on the...
I thought so. I wasn't sure. I didn't look at the credits, though.
Yeah, I was listening. I had my earbuds in listening to it. My ears just kind of pricked up because I recognized that voice. Like, like got goosebumps.
I would have loved it if they would have gotten Matt and Trey from South Park when they did the little swing through South Park in a later episode.
I'm a little surprised that they didn't, because they're nice. They're nice enough guys.
They might have just been like a little busy. They might have been in the middle production of an actual South Park episode at that time. But if you're going to do an episode like that, maybe you should have reached out and been like, "Hey, you guys got like 5 minutes to show up in a booth for us, please, because we totally love you on."
You know what? I bet you this was around the time of Team America filming.
Oh, that would make sense. I need that movie too.
Do you?
Well, I have Basketball and South Park the movie, and I think it was like Team America World Police. Did they do a third movie?
They've done a bunch of movies together. They did
like live action anyway.
Cannibal the Musical, Orgasmo.
Oh, Baseball. Orgasmo. That's the one I need to see. Yeah.
Yeah, Orgasmo is fantastic. I've heard Cannibal the Musical is also fantastic, but I've not seen that.
Yeah, that was the... Oh, go ahead.
Basketball is really good.
Yes.
They have weird periods where they cross over comedy styles, and this crosses Matt and Trey with David Zucker, and it works out pretty well. It worked out better for me with that than, say, Mel Brooks working with Leslie Nielsen in Dracula. That didn't work well with me for whatever reason.
Right.
Somewhere someone's going, "Are you stupid? That one was great." It was for Peter McNichol.
Just saying.
Yeah. Anyway.
If you're curious which episode we're talking about with the South Park one, you look for the A Tale of Two Cows episode, because they also reference the Jetsons and the Flintstones and the Simpsons in this one episode. 2 are specifically, they go through like the town of, where the Flintstones live and the Jetsons and South Park, but then they also have like the Family Guy and the Simpsons reference.
Yes, and they had the prehistoric tampon.
Yep.
Which was the worm on a string.
What, you take it out?
Oh, that was ill. But I love the worm. It's a living.
Yep.
But this was fun, and like I had said, you see, again, nobody's a good person, nobody's a good character, but you see Hero being less of a homophobe dickhead, and again, you see him trying to find out whether or not he is gay, and comes up with Craig, this character that can allow him to do that. And Xander goes along with it, not so much to help him, but to help himself get through this period, help himself deal with Hero, like not deal with things getting worse.
Well, speaking of Hero, did you like how he had a kind of a supervillain of sorts in an episode? A particular nanny?
God, the super nanny was hysterical.
I love that episode because I'm like, this is pretty interesting, actually. And then how it ends with the twist of the super nanny being like an alien, sort of like just an overlord of sorts with her compellingness to stay away from the naughty chair.
Yeah,
Naughty stool. Sorry, stool.
she was almost like Lex Luthor that was smart enough to go toe to toe with Superman.
Yeah. All the heroes.
Yeah, she got them all put on the naughty chair all at once, which is fantastic.
Including Batman.
Including Batman.
Because Hero calls Batman and he's trying to ask for help. And he's like, oh, you're on the naughty chair too? What did you do? Oh, no, I would never have done that.
Did he do something to Alfred or say, like, why would you do that to Alfred? He's so nice. But I love where she was basically telling Hero to back off with her army of British kids. And she says, show him the strength of British, whatever, like resolve. And the kid
Discipline.
breaks his finger backwards. And you just see like this little curl on his lip.
Lip quiver, yep.
It's so gross. It gives you the heebie-jeebies. And then later when the mind control starts to wear off, he's starting to feel the pain again. He's freaking out and then getting mad and beating the shit out of her with his busted hand.
Yep.
We also find out that Hero is not only bi-curious, he was also pansexual because he had E.T.'s robot phone home robot as his sex bot.
Oh, the sex bot, yeah. No. The
speak and spell going, why doesn't he just take the chip out that makes me feel pain? Like,
yep.
oh God. That last upward inflection, pain.
That was wild. I'm like, man, he can't keep his dick out of anything, can he?
No, and then now to erase your memory of the whole thing, and he takes off his shoulders.
Oh, that's the running gag through this whole season. He even tries to do it to his parents, and everybody walks in on him. It's like, oh my God. And he plays it off like nothing's happening.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna fuck my mom and dad.
Now time to erase their memories. All right, everybody, we should all try. No, we do not try that.
And the sexy music they played was gross. Fun, but gross.
Yeah,
Speaking of fun and gross, going
yeah,
back to what you were saying with the marriage, where he's starting to find out that flexible girls, kind of what you call her, clingy, like I said,
just
is where he's seeing all the tattoos on her back. And on the left butt cheek, it says, I'm marrying her.
And it leads right up to the O of the pucker. And he spreads the cheeks and he's like, oh, that's clever.
My cousin did that for Halloween in '95, and it was
oh no,
his goddamn thing. So Damien, I hope your daughter's listening. Yeah, your dad fucking came over to my house and mooned my mom with B on one cheek and O on the other. And that was his.
This sounds like something Spanky would do in this show. Oh,
so it's like that's shit like that is why this show grabs me. It's not just because I'm an asshole. It's because I've experienced shit like this that's made me laugh in real life. Like you have to laugh at stuff like that. Otherwise, you're gonna be very timid, like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm marrying her. Oh my God.
Swing low, sweet cherry heart.
Oh yeah, they utilized the public domain songs a couple times, I noticed.
Yeah. Well, most of that brings up another good question. Like they didn't do as many musical numbers in this season as they did in the first, but they still had a couple really good ones, especially when we hit the Foxy 5 with the Smashy Crashy Dead song.
Yes, that was catchy. That I don't actually have that one on my, I want to say iPod, but on my phone. I've got like La 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 Labia on there, Some Black Chick's Tongue, a couple others. Oh, there's a song from next season that's, I won't tell you what it is until again next week, but it's a pretty good song.
Okay.
But they don't do them as consistently as season 1. No, you're right.
That same episode, I just want to bring it up super quick, had one of the best visual gags I think I've ever seen in any sort of superhero movie. Laser beaming the popcorn and then it lands in your mouth. Yes. Superman, Clark Kent, yo, what the fuck? You can't do that shit too? Because what happens is Xander throws a kernel of unpopped popcorn into the air, and Hero zaps it with the laser beam super quick, and it continues flight into his mouth. So it's outstanding. It's like that I want to see in live action.
I would dig that too. But that's where like it got really horrible. Like you think the Hero butthole part was horrible, but no, it got really, really worse, like emotionally worse.
Yep.
I love Hero's response is just sitting there eating the popcorn. Yes, how will I ever go on? You go ahead and marry Waldor.
Yep.
She doesn't want to die alone like her Nana did in a convalescent home.
Oh god, yeah.
And so it's like there's a fight between Waldor and Hero to marry her, but they don't really want to marry her. They're only wanting to marry her because the other ones were going to marry her. So she just wants to get married.
Boys being boys.
And by the end, they're having this argument, and it cuts away inside the house to Toot and Clara that haven't been on the entire episode, talking about being in the basement making this awesome potato gun.
Yeah.
And Toot's got this ginormous PVC potato gun, which, kids at home, if you haven't seen that before, it's basically a cannon that you could mount to a table or, again, like a bazooka over your shoulder, and you put a potato in it. You put a bunch of propane or another kind of flammable gas, and then you light a spark, and it shoots the potato like a cannonball across X amount of yards. You could do some serious damage with the potato, and they showed that in the cartoon, not even in the joking way. It like goes through the wall of the house and smacks Unusually Flexible Girl in the face.
And kills her.
And kills her and imprints her. And Waldor's got this natural response of, oh my God, she's dead. And Captain Heroes, the optimist, says, you know what? We saved her. She didn't die alone because they were both holding her hand.
Yeah. And then the potato sprouted spuds like in a happy face, like 2 eyes and a smile.
It was so wrong. Like whatever
this
we were
spud's
doing
for you.
Spud's for you. That was really funny. Like, and then we see Blette again, but just briefly. She's doesn't have any really
trying to do what, craps or whatever it is at the casino.
They were counting cards.
Oh,
and I want to say they get caught by the pit boss. And that's when they come up with all their other schemes to cut each other out.
Yeah.
Oh, what episode was it? It was Live Action Cow, where we see another running gag where the cow starts to get rabies, and the house is trying to tell Waldor, you need to take it out and just get rid of it. It's got rabies. There's nothing you can do. And Foxy very sincerely and tenderly says, you just need to take him outside behind the woodshed and put a bullet behind his ears. And then it flashes to her in the confessional going, oh, little Timmy, Mama misses you. And you're like, oh fuck.
Oh my God. I forgot about that. I didn't even write that down.
Foxy killed her kid with rabies.
Well, it could have been. They didn't specifically say it was the kid.
No, you're right. Because
in other episodes, they talk about her kid just being like up for adoption and abandoned and whatever.
That was Raymond.
Yeah.
Which Foxy's arch nemesis, Child Protective Services. And again, you're just kind of like, fuck my life, that's not okay.
And CPS is just like, and we meet again, Foxy. And she's like, oh shit.
It was almost like a Spanish soap opera where the camera's going to zoom in with the eyes squinting like, you, me.
Pretty much.
But Child Protective Services was played by Paget Brewster, who played Poison Ivy in Batman and Harley Quinn, the animated movie. But she's known by comic nerds as being Lois Lane. So that was extremely funny to hear Lois Lane saying the lines for Raymond, and we meet again, Foxy.
Yep.
It was just damn funny. Oh, another point to fucking Captain Hero being an absolute lunatic was Captain Girl. And I think that's
God, making that shit up. And then Waldorf wanted to be a sidekick. And then they did like the dynamic duo bit for a while.
Yes. And the subplot of Toot wanting to have a baby to feel younger.
Oh, God.
And so what the house decides to do to show her that having a baby is hard work, instead of giving her an egg like you would in sixth grade or whatever, freshman year, I don't know when that happens.
Yeah.
They give her a Nicaraguan baby that's as good as a pet egg.
No. This does not go well.
Yeah, and Toot is not responsible as a parent. She's an alcoholic, of course.
She self-medicates with a bottle of gin.
Yeah, and lets the baby run around with diapers that say juicy and rhinestones on the butt.
Yeah.
The baby ends up getting pregnant. And she's like, how could she be pregnant? And it shows the baby in diapers with her shirt up, like just because, it's a chunky little belly. And the little handprint comes out of the baby's belly. And you're just kind of like, oh, that's disgusting. That's I remember that 3 times before, and I thought that was disgusting on an adult.
Yeah. That was wild. What an episode.
It was funny though. The part that got me was might have been one of my favorite parts was Captain Girl's funeral.
When everybody was dressed in black.
They gave her a Mormon funeral.
Yep, because she hated Mormons.
Because she hated Mormons.
Yeah, we ain't making this stuff up, yo. This is the show.
She hated Mormons so much that it would make her happy if another one died and got buried. You're like, fuck me, that's not okay.
That should be the tagline for this show. Drawn together, this is not okay.
Exactly. And then everyone gets really somber and supportive for Hero as the preacher starts and goes, Ooga booga, great space god, magic lizard, come down from Jupiter. It's so loud and forceful that it scares the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And it's random as hell. Like, oh my God, like great space lizard. The Ooga booga part kills me.
Ooga booga.
Ooga booga and great space lizard. It really needed Tom Cruise to come at that point. I mean, and that's not Mormon, but still.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of how they could have gone worse with the review of the show episode. It's the same episode with like Tim and Xander, but they talk about the Entertainment Weekly review and how they call the show complete shit, and how the team goes down there and murders everybody in the building, and they finally get to the last person who's actually wrote the review about why Drawn Together sucks. And I didn't even write it down, but they had like, you're this fat lesbian, blah, 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 blah. And you wrote this horrible review. And he's like, or she, or whatever the proper pronoun was just like, yeah, well, I don't like your show. Okay, fair point.
It was a Jewish, conservative, pro-life, born-again, overweight, Asian, homophobic, lesbian, Indian broad who cuts herself.
Good memory. Or did you write this down?
I wrote that the hell down.
Okay.
And she says, my readers have a right to know what I think. And Spanky goes, yeah, the show is shit. And he goes, yeah, you're right. Fair enough. But they also have the right to know you're not our audience, you asshole.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty good to put the period on that episode.
Yes, because I do believe that was a real review they got from EW.
Oh, I believe so.
It sounds like the reviews that we've been getting from a lot of listeners, and I understand. I'm not like arguing with you guys like, why don't you like this? I understand. Don't get me wrong. I'm just maladjusted.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's Kevin for you. What else do you want? This is what we do here.
I got the lizard god coming down from Jupiter.
L. Ron Hubbard style.
where they raid EW, Toot puts a kill me sign instead of kick me on the back of a guy as he's going into the next room. And
they do.
You see silhouettes like the Ides of March all stabbing Caesar and shit, and Toot's sitting there giggling like
It's like somebody finally gave her permission to fuck shit up.
Kinda, yeah.
At least she wasn't doing the whale thing from the first episode.
The fat jokes got a lot, and they remain, but they're not as consistent or.
Yeah, they don't hit it as often as you would think.
Yeah, it's not a constant joke for cheap pop. Would that be a better?
Yeah, cheap pop.
It's not that, but where they show her being the beached whale, it was a parody, more or less a parody of a whale that was beached here in Oregon. And when they finally decided to get rid of it, they put dynamite around it, not thinking that that's going to blow up everywhere and it's going to blow up a rotten carcass all over your town.
Dear God.
Yeah, and there's video of it on YouTube, so look that up, kids. But then, of course, they also worship the natives worshipped her as a whale god, and she's telling them, I don't want to sound like an ungrateful guest, but if you say that you're going to keep Toot Bronstein well fed, you goddamn better keep Toot Bronstein well fed. This lady rips off her clothes just like completely nude and virgin. I offer myself as sacrifice, and gets like 2 feet within Toot, and her upper jaw goes up and over this lady and pulls back to the lower jaw, smearing blood all across the sand.
And the natives are just like, okay, that's it, bitch is gone.
And they sacrifice everything except for the whores, I think. Yeah. And they're like, no, we've gotten rid of this, we've gotten rid of this and this. I'm not getting rid of that.
Yeah.
And then they decide to blow her up.
Yeah, they send her backpacking.
They sacrifice their kids before they sacrifice their side bitches.
Pretty much. They don't want to lose the rest of them. Hey, pimping ain't easy, yo.
Oh gosh. And then another thing that they did was pretty funny was the message on drugs with Foxy and trying to figure out what Hero's doing with steroids.
Oh God, that's the steroid episode, yeah.
And it shows Foxy get huge in the crotch. We'll just say that. A beard, her eyes all dilated, and her voice gets super deep,
super low.
Yeah, just as I was afraid, steroids, and you're like, oh my God, no.
They went there. Yes, they did.
Because metabolic steroids are horrible for you, and like Hero's thinking that he's in training for the AIDS walk as a competition.
Oh my God! And then when we get there and he's all healthy, he just fucking kills everybody anyway.
He kills.
He's like, I win, and everybody's trying to keep telling him it's not a competition. It's not. It doesn't work like that. Look at what you did to everybody. And he's like, I still won.
Yeah, I still won. Nobody finished a single lap, so no money was raised for AIDS.
It's supposed to be more than one lap.
And the worst part is he goes to the AIDS quilt, wraps it around himself like a winter sash, and then it takes off flying. Yeah, up in the air.
And as the audience and the rest of them are standing there, they're just like, "What the hell, dude? You are off your rocker."
Oh god damn it! That was the
But
part.
Popeye died. He had to do it for Popeye.
Where was that? I had that little thing. That
We should have Bruno in that episode too.
Oh, that's right. Where is it? I had it written down.
Oh, the
Son of a gun. Oh, I said I something like
it was
I
episode
don't-
12.
Where am I? I'm on 12. I had it written down. It's not here. Oh, I'm weak at the finish because AIDS beats out spinach.
Oh my god. I didn't even catch that until now. Wow.
As he's dying, he goes, I'm weak at the finish because he beats out spinach and dies.
This is what we're saying, everybody. This show is wild. Even for back then.
And
I think it's
his forearms turn into tombstones. And my wife, God bless her heart, is like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I don't know. Like, that's just hysterical to me.
Yeah, Kevin's not certified. He could be certifiable. We haven't had him properly tested yet. We'll do that, and we'll let you know next time we get back around to season 3 and the movie.
Well, it makes me think of a little George Carlin joke where he was talking about broccoli, and he goes, got yourself some cancer? Get yourself a bowl of broccoli. And it's like, well,
that helps not.
It doesn't, no. And it tastes like shit, too.
Unless it's a bowl of pot, not broccoli.
Even then, I
Just
can't
saying.
say I don't know what that tastes like, because it does. Anybody that's made a mistake. Anyway, yeah, that's the whole other point.
Well,
the horrible shit that you'd see like that, it kept escalating. And I wasn't sure my first time around how much further they can go with making things debaucherously funny. Like Pulp Fiction is so shocking, like you have to laugh, and this is very similar to that. And it got to the point where it's like they're making fun of things that have affected me personally, like heartbreak and tragedy, and it's making me laugh.
Yeah.
But you know what? It makes me feel better about heartache and tragedy to be able to laugh at shit. It's not real, and I could laugh at that.
Right. Almost like, what do you want to spend your energy on? Do you want to laugh at shit or get mad about shit?
Well, that's true. My grandmother passed away of Alzheimer's, and they have an episode where Toot, they think, has Alzheimer's. And they
Alzheimer's ends well.
They put her in a convalescent home, and she finds out that all the other old folks there are pretending to have Alzheimer's, that they made it up so they don't have to live with their family anymore because they're all fucking pain in the ass grandkids.
Freeloaders.
Yeah. And like Toot gets super excited. She's like, I could eat and crap wherever I want. And this lady goes, that's right. It's just like living on top of a Japanese schoolgirl. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. I wrote that line down, actually. I was just like, wow, there comes another one. It just reminds me of the Ling Lang episode trying to get his driver's license, and they taped his eyes open, and now he sees the world and can speak proper English. I'm like, oh, wow.
Oh gosh, yes, the whitewashing was horrible. But I love Godzilla having the picket sign saying Ling Ling Twinkie, you sell out. And you're like, oh, in your face.
Yep. Pretty much.
And like my son is hearing the ski ronk of Godzilla, so he's wanting to run out into the garage to see what I'm doing. It's like, get out. never ever repeat what you're hearing, ever.
Be gone, kid.
Yeah, like my son is such a sweet boy and thinks that he doesn't understand humor. at all. So it's like, if you're laughing at something disgusting, he's going to think it's funny and turn around and say it to a bunch of other people. It's probably not funny at all. So you just don't tell dirty jokes around kids. It's just making you look bad.
Parenting tip 192 from Kevin.
No,
And knowing is half the battle.
The getting laid tip number 213, back rub buddy. The way he was explaining that is like, I feel seen. I like you.
Some guys or ladies know not of that trick, and some do.
I love where he's trying to explain what it is to Waldor, and Waldor says, wait a second, I'm confused. Are you going to sleep with her or make a poopy? And he gets super close and goes, if all goes well, both.
Yep. Well, and then he's trying to show like Waldorf how the back rub thing even works. And Waldorf is just like, oh, I understand. Ooh, I want you inside me, Captain Hero. It's like, wow. And then they turn the lights off and they're like, class dismissed.
And then Xander does it to him when he's upset about Elastigirl or whatever, Flexible Girl. As soon as he started rubbing his shoulders, I was like, oh, son of a bitch is getting got in your face.
Yep. My, how the mighty tables have turned.
It was funny. It really was.
Yeah.
But the Alzheimer's that ends well, the part that killed me the most was Xander being concerned for Toot, but not too concerned. Mrs. Bronstein, we're gonna take you to a home now. And like, you don't hear from them for another week, and then they randomly call. How are they treating you, Toot? But he keeps referring to her as Mrs. Bronstein and speaking at the top of his voice because she can't hear or can't understand.
Right.
And it's so condescending, but you see people doing that all the time.
Exactly.
In fact, that's actually a point that they make in I think it was the episode where they were erasing the racist stereotypes.
Board of Education.
Was the Board of Education one?
Because they were using the erasers.
Oh, that's right.
No. That's the Hero. That's the one where Hero was in the wheelchair.
Yeah, because they were pushing Foxy out, like basically walking the plank.
Yeah.
That's right. I already forgot my point to it anyway. But it was something about them actually making a point. I don't know. By the time this gets edited, it'll sound like I have a point.
Oh, that was the terms of endearment one. Erasement Camp and Mickey. That was that episode. That's where Foxy was fulfilling the stereotype role.
Yeah. Huh. Oh well, I lost that thought. That's a 0 point for this show.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. We're like 45 minutes in. That's my first I lost my train of thought.
We're actually further along than that, Kevin.
Oh, that's right. We didn't hit record when we started talking.
Correct.
That's right. I thought it was like last week where we talked on record for a while.
Hey, do we need to do a clip show episode, Kevin? Because then I could rewind and show you exactly where we started with this.
That's what I wanted to do last Christmas, was make believe like we actually had clips to do a clip show, and we didn't, because we only had like, what, 2-3 episodes at that point?
Yeah, we did. No, we were in the middle of Terminator month at that point.
Oh, okay, so it would have been our first Christmas then. Christmas of season 1.
That's when we did our holiday episode, and we talked about our favorite episodes of holiday.
Which ends up having, God, not Uncle Ernie. Who was on that X-Files episode? Jonathan Winters? No. Another 0 point. Doesn't matter. We're talking about Drawn Together.
Well, we're starting to fade. Kevin, you got any other thoughts before we wrap it up?
Oh, golly, there was a few. I love us getting to see the Octopuswa again in his new life. That was pretty damn hysterical.
And then Joan Rivers being the new Octopuswa.
Clara gets so addicted to her vaginal makeovers that it turns into Joan Rivers.
Well, she got super fucking picky about it. That's why.
Yes. But I think
this one's too clean. This one's too hairy. This one's too poofy. This one's... I don't see it at all. It's like, girl,
But he gets a job as a real estate agent, the poussoir, and won't go back to Clara. Like, he's got his own life now. He's successful, has family, and he's a real estate agent.
He's married, yeah.
Yeah, and it ends with the lesson of even the slimiest cunt can get a job in real estate. And all I could think of was my brother from high school, Dave, who's a real estate agent. And all I could think of was, that's you, bitch.
That's pretty good.
And it was Foxy that said that. So I'm sorry. And I'm sorry for everything else we've said that people are offended by. It's going to happen again in one more episode. So we're apologizing in advance, but not really apologizing.
Kevin's apologizing. I'm not. I don't give a shit.
I shouldn't give a shit for whatever reason I do.
Honestly, when you're talking about a show like this, you're going to get flack one way or the other. I don't care. If you're a fan of ours and you know us, you know what we're about, what kind of people we are. We're just talking about a show. That's it. That's all it's about.
And it's a show that said a lot of bad things, but made some good points in a lot of their episodes. They just had a way of delivering that message in a completely dirty way. And there are kids that are kids forever, adults that are kids forever. I'm always going to be 14 or 15 in my head. Last week, I think we were making the joke about the calculators. And we were talking about, putting boobs in the calculator. I will always hear Beavis and Butthead going every time. Yeah, every time I think of that. So I'm sorry, I'm 43, but I still think like a 14-year-old was something.
Hey, you're only as old as you feel or you think you are. Don't answer how you feel because you're going to say 90. I know you are.
No, actually,
the mind of a 14-year-old punk.
I'm feeling much better like today than I was earlier in the week when I had the flu again. Like, I felt 90 earlier. Now I'm kind of like, let's stay up late and party. Yay!
Play video games all night long.
That is probably what's going to happen. No school tomorrow. I'm going to go play some VR, start Drawn Together season 3 just cause, and I have In the Mouth of Madness to finish.
Goddamn right.
Which people will already know at this point. That's going to be our next 0 Point review.
Yep, and you'll have already heard it.
Hopefully.
Or seen it, because that's on our YouTube channel.
Oh, that's right. We're interactive that way. We have visual.
Yep, no visual aids on the podcast front yet. We are working our way towards, maybe we will start doing some video streams of this, and maybe eventually we will do a full video live stream of recording it live for the podcast.
That would be pretty fun. We could show slides like this that people aren't seeing of Clara's before picture of the poussoir that has an eye, teeth, hair, and a foot like a vestigial twin.
Why are you exposing yourself like that on our show like that, Kevin? Pull those pants back up. Nobody needs to see that. And the tattoos, bro. Nobody wants to see welcome aboard tattooed on your penis.
Welcome aboard. I'm surprised they did not do that for Xander, but I love where they have the black light and he's all covered in cum. And he's like, I'm a really friendly ghost.
That was pretty funny.
And Foxy's got the old styled fashioned mustache with curls.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
That was a few happy endings.
Yeah. A few. Figurative and literal.
Yeah.
No, really. We mean it, people. Like, there's hand jobs. See, we're getting towards the end of the show, so we could lose them. It's okay.
Yep.
Sorry. That's all I had. I'm sorry.
That is okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for Drawn Together Season 2. I am Jeff, and I am always joined by my co-host, Kevin. If you like this episode, please check out our Season 1 review. We had a good time with that one, and we're coming up on Season 3 and the movie in our next episode. Hey, if you got some thoughts, you got some comments, anything about Drawn Together, we'd like to hear it. Please go through our social media or send us an email. We'd love to hear what you think. we might just read it out on our next episode. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.